What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Monday Movie Reviews with Armchair Fandom, where your fandom doesn't have to be expert. We can simply be laid back, grab a snack, and enjoy the movies that we love. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what inspired this channel, another video about the two movies that inspired my channel, which is Dead Poets Society, starring Robin Williams as John Keating, a poetry teacher in an all-boys school, Robert Sean Leonard as Neil Perry, one of the students there, Ethan Hawke as Todd Anderson, and Josh Charles as Knox Overstreet. Now, when this movie opens, we're introduced to a boys' school where we're seeing a lot of tradition take place. The boys are reciting the four pillars of the school, all of which is honor, excellence, obedience, and I forget the other one right offhand. But after this scene, we begin to be introduced to the students at the school. We begin to see how that these friendships have been formed. There's another student that shows up a little bit later in the movie, played by Ethan Hawke. That student is Todd Anderson. He's a kid that is in an inner shell. He's an introverted kid. He's kind of shy. He doesn't come out of his shell very easily. But we just begin to see how that these kids have formed relationship and friendships over the years attending this all-boys school. We begin to see a contrasting of characters here when we're introduced to Robert Sean Leonard and Ethan Hawke's characters, Neil Perry and Todd Anderson, who will be roommates throughout the movie. Neil Perry is a character who is very passionate. He's just has a lot of passion for the arts, and Todd Anderson is basically, like I said earlier, is just an introverted kid that doesn't come out of his shell real easily. As the movie progresses, we begin to see that Robert Leonard's character, Neil Perry, is kind of hemmed in. He can't allow his passions out very easily. For one, because of the structure and the discipline of the school, and for two, he has an overpowering father that makes him walk a straight line. Here we see a scene with the father confronting Neil over the fact that he had just told Neil that he needed to drop his role extracurricular activity as the editor of the school paper, and he had pushed back against his father in front of his friends, and his father called him outside and kind of scalded him for that. And you can see the conflict between Neil Perry and his father. Neil Perry, played again by Robert Sean Leonard. When we're first introduced to Robin Williams' character, Foley, it's in the classroom setting, but the first thing he does when he enters the classroom is he takes all the students out into the corridor of the school where we have all of the trophy cases and the memorials to students past, and he gets the boys to look at these black and white pictures of these students that had been through this school before, and he mentions a phrase to the boys, a phrase known as carpe diem, which he tells the students means seize the day. But if you actually look that phrase up, it's a Latin phrase that actually means to enjoy the pleasures of the moment, basically, without worrying about what the future holds. So his summation of the phrase was pretty accurate, that it means seize the day, and we'll see what he means by that as the movie progresses, but he's trying to get his students to break out of the structure and the constraints that hold back their passion. One of the other first thing he does when he comes to the class is he gives the students a partial lesson on poetry from the first chapter of their textbooks, and then after he gets finished with the lesson, he tells them to rip the page out, that they're not going to go by that philosophy found in how to understand or know how poetry is good poetry. That he's going to teach his students, he wants to teach them how to be free thinkers, so to speak. And we'll see more of that progress as the movie continues. But Robin Williams' character, he just continuously gives these students lessons, trying to break them out of the constraints, whatever the constraints may be. You may see it as society, you may see it as family life, you may see it as just life in general, holding you down, not allowing you to enjoy your passions. But the character of John Keating, played by Robin Williams, which I would like to say before his untimely passing, I won't go into details on how he passed away, it was very tragic, but Robin Williams was one of my favorite actors in Hollywood. He was in a lot of movies. Good Will Hunting comes to my mind right offhand, that a movie that I really, really enjoyed. I've seen it several times. I saw it at the theater, and in just my opinion, Robin Williams was a very good actor. He was actually classically trained as an actor in theater. But another scene I want to talk about is when the boys discover a yearbook that has John Keating, the teacher's picture in it. There's a note in the yearbook that speaks about the Dead Poet Society, and John Keating tells the boys that it was him and a group of friends he had when he went to school at the same school back when he was a kid, that they would sneak off into an old Indian cave and they would recite poetry. And one of the students asked, so it's just a bunch of guys standing around reading poetry to each other? And he said, no, we didn't just read it, we let it flow off our lips. Like I said, this whole movie is about being passionate about things and trying to break out of the constraints that keep us from enjoying our passions. I may not get to talk about it as much, but this point is really made between the contrast of characters with Ethan Hawke's character and Robert Sean Leonard's character, Neil Perry and Todd Anderson. Like I said earlier, one's in a hardened shell. It's hard for him to come out of his shell. He's shy. He basically just goes along with the program, and Neil is more of a kid that fights against the program, but he's got multiple layers of constraints on him, which ends up getting the best of him at the end of the movie, if you've ever seen the movie. And then we just see that Robin Williams' character, John Keating, these students begin to actually be inspired by him. We see one character here, Knox Overstreet, played by Josh Charles. He sees a girl one day, and instead of shying away from pursuing the interest he has in her, or just letting it go, he constantly throughout the movie just pushes himself to overcome whatever it would be to hold you back from pursuing a relationship like that, and he just pushes forward until he ends up at the end of the day winning the girl. And he makes a fool out of himself a few times in these situations. And I'm sorry I'm pausing a lot in this video. I'm waiting on my screenshots to catch up to where my mind is at. I ask you to be patient while I perfect this work of putting YouTube videos together. But right now, like I said, I'm just talking to you about what inspired me to actually start my own channel, which was something I wanted to do for about 4 years. But this movie right here, I was rewatching Dead Poets Society one night, and I just decided I was just going to go ahead and do it. I don't care how many followers I have. Movies are something that I've always been passionate about, and I've decided that if I'm watching movies and breaking down movies, analyzing movies, and talking about movies, that it's something I really enjoy. Now, I wanted to come back to this scene, which took place earlier in the movie. While Mr. Keating is teaching his students, he has each one of them come up to his classroom and stand on his desk and look at the room from a different perspective. And the lesson being that if you're being trapped into seeing things a certain way, or not being able to critically think or be a free thinker, that you should consider a different aspect, or different topics from different angles, which comes back later in the movie after we see what transpires next, when in another scene, Todd Anderson is brought up before the class to read a poetry assignment, and he's the nervous kid who's shy, who's in his shell, and Robin Williams, by doing some exercises, as we see in this clip, is able to break him out of his shell, which comes back in a key moment at the very, very end of the movie to show that he had inspired these kids. Neil Perry here in this shot is actually participating in the play, performing, that he had decided to audition for against his father's wishes. He actually didn't even tell his father, and his father actually shows up and stands in the back of the auditorium. And as soon as the play's over, he removes him from school and takes him home, and tells him he's unenrolling him and putting him in a military school, which makes the character Neil Perry feel completely trapped. He doesn't feel like his life has any meaning, which your life always has meaning. There's no justification for ever taking your own life, but that's what happens with this character. He ends up taking his own life in a very dramatic scene. And then at the end of the movie, as Mr. Keating is made the fall guy for what happened to Neil Perry, and he's leaving the school, he's fired, and he's leaving the school, he comes back to the classroom to retrieve his personal belongings. And it's at that moment, as he's beginning to walk out of the room, that Todd Anderson, of all the characters, who was the shy kid who was in his shell, never would come out, was the one that gained the courage in this moment to stand up on his desk, hearkening back to the earlier scene, and giving Robin Williams the respect that his character, Mr. Keating, the respect he deserved, by basically just paying him tribute. He also referenced him as "Old Captain, my captain," which earlier in the movie, John Keating had said, "You can refer to me as Mr. Keating or my old captain, my captain," which was, he basically paid him a double homage, and it led all the other kids, most of them in the room, to stand up on their desk and pay tribute to Mr. Keating in the same manner. At this time, I'm going to end this review. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to YouTube, I would ask that you create an account on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when I put up another video. Leave a comment in the comments section below. Hit the like button, comment, hit the notification bell. I'm trying to cover all my bases. And follow me on Twitter and look for me on other social media. Thank you.